Hi all, greetings from the apocalypse. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you need to know about how to get the height right for setting a faceted stone. It's all about your inner bezel and some things that you really need to know. So now that I've crushed your hopes and dreams, we're going to talk about setting a faceted stone. Now, basically what the rest of the world does is they make a tube setting, which is thick metal, and then they use a drill bit and a wheel, whatever, to like grind out a little seat, okay? So we tend to use thinner metals here because we're doing all the fusing and all that kind of thing. So what we do instead is we use a regular 26 gauge bezel, but then we just make a little inner bezel that goes inside. It holds the stone up to the right spot. And it basically replaces drilling that seed in. So it's all the same purpose in the end. So what you do, when she first made her bezel, look how cute. You measure the height of the entire stone, give yourself a little extra in case of ... So when you go to make your inner bezel, generally speaking, you take your dividers and you measure 2/3 of the height of your entire bezel. And that's gonna get you close. Because the truth is, we were talking about this the other day with stone setting. You're like, why is it just like nothing is standard? Every stone's a little different. It has a little different cut. Some of them have like a real high table, some have a real low table. So like there's never like an exact thing. But I find you take the dividers, you measure 2/3, put it in there, and then you put the stone on it, and then you're just gonna make little adjustments. Usually it's just like, oh, let me sand it down a hair, or let me put in, you know, a 26 gauge shiny sheet underneath, and that's it. So it isn't huge adjustments, but I have these dividers which are a little craptastic, but they're loners, so, you know, sorry, didn't mean to hurt your feelings or anything. And the 2/3 thing, I don't measure it. I mean, as far as actual like millimeters or whatever, I just hold my dividers up and go like, yep, that looks like 2/3. So I am doing the squint and hold it up next to it method. Okay, so then you're gonna cut a strip like that. Generally for inner bezels, I just use fine silver 26 gauge. So make your strip, shape it, put it in there. We'll stick your stone in, and then we'll make whatever adjustments we're gonna have to make, okay? So we were just talking about making our inner bezel, and she's got a few strips here already, and she's like, oh, but I'm gonna flatten them out nice and flat, right? Makes logical sense, just like the oval bezel. Because when you have a strip like this, if you flatten it out, what you end up doing is putting more marks in it, more dings in it, do you know what I'm saying? And you make it more hard.
Got it.
So generally when I cut a strip, I just work from one end, do you know what I'm saying? So I don't like cut my strip and then hammer it flat. That's actually just a wasted step, and it makes it look a little worse for wear.
Okay.
And the only way that I know this to tell you this is I've done every fucking one of these things, and from bitter experience realized that like,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So, because I can't really get in here like perfectly, I'm kind of just, you know, holding it up and guesstimating. So I think that's about the height.
Yep.
So if you feel you can hold on to one of these little fuckers, these darling little bezels, then you can mark this and cut it. If that makes you lose your mind, then we'll just get a bigger piece and we'll just mark and cut that off of the side. Okay?
Okay, great, thank you.
We'll reconvene.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a ridiculously eeny weeny little tiny inner bezel.
There it is.
And what I was just explaining is that an inner bezel, its whole point in life is to be level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if it's not level, nothing else matters. What height it is, you know what I mean, blah, 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 blah. So the first thing I always do when I go to check is like pull it all out, look at it, put it on a level or your thumb. Basically getting eye level with things is remarkably accurate for seeing if it's level. If you're looking at stuff from above, who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? You just don't know. So at any rate, so I've looked at it and I concur it's level, so that's really important.
Okay.
Now, when I have big inner bezels, I will often solder them shut. A little one like this, I usually don't, because there's nowhere I can go, you know what I mean? Because with a bigger one, sometimes if the inner bezel doesn't fit it perfectly, you put the stone in and it kind of like, the inner bezel can bounce outward and then the stone kind of bounces up and down, so that is bad.
Right.
If in doubt, just solder it shut. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you're like, oh, I don't know, or, you know what I mean? Just solder it shut.
Okay.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, little tiny ones I don't usually, but if you ever have any question, okay, so, which is good. But also remember, when you make an inner bezel, make it go in, make it go out. Don't worry about making it such a tight fit that it's really hard to get in and out. Because even if everything is perfect, you always put everything in and out at least a couple times to check the height. And if you can't get this thing out reasonably, you will go berserker. So, I mean, that's beautiful. Like, but I mean, it comes right out. That's great.
That's good.
And do you have your wood dowels?
Yeah, I was using that little one. Is that too tiny for you? Does it fit right in there?
Can I have more?
Like all of them?
Can I have all of them, please? Okay, so here's the thing. Wood dowels are one of those, I mean, these are wood sticks. They are the most useful thing for stone setting above and beyond your setting tools, because this is what we use to level your stones. This is what we use to push them in place, because they're hard enough to do that without making any scratches or marks or whatever. You can use this to adjust your bezels a little bit. Again, it won't make a mark. So I feel like above and beyond my setting tools, if I don't have dowels, like, I can't operate.
I don't know what happened to my dowels.
That's okay.
So like decided.
I heard you reading around back there.
I know. I'm like, wait. I really struggle is real.
Okay, so I press it down in there. And you must get to eye level. Now what I'm gonna do is go get the macro lens, so you can do a close-up of this. This stone is a hair too high, so we'll probably end up sanding it down, but you have to press on it. Now we also have, in the master setting tool set, we have the brass stone leveler, which you can use. But you want to make sure the stone that you're using it on is a relatively hard stone. So like, it's great for diamonds and sapphires and whatever. Like, if I'm not sure what that is, it may be a soft stone, I'm going to go with the wood instead. So I'm going to get a macro lens and we'll just do a little close-up from the side. Because what you're looking for when you set a faceted stone with your inner bezel is you want the outside bezel to just cover the girdle.
Got it. Yep.
Just. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If there's too much extra, by the time you're done setting, you won't see your stone very well, and that's not what you want.
Right.
So it's a very minimal amount, and usually that's the biggest mistake that people make, is they set it too far down in there, and then by the time they're done setting, it's like you see a little dot of your stone in the middle.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. Okay? So I'm gonna go get the macro. We'll show this from the side, but this is just a little too high. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm trying to like get that right. You see how the girdle is still up a tiny little bit right there? Okay? So sand it a tiny bit more. We'll press it level. Ta-da! So this is what we're looking for. The bezel just covers the girdle, but no more. So now we are ready to set. So we're going to set this up on a block of wood, and we're going to put double stick tape and, you know, et cetera, and then we're going to start setting. But with faceted stones, everything is about the height of that inner bezel.